Jarrett did do a promo earlier in that show where he came out. He did his Hogan's Bad promo. He showed some German and Japanese magazines about the coverage of his attack on Hogan. He got mad at Mike Tenay. AJ showed up in the crowd. The crowd, like, legitimately, to be fair, the crowd really did care about AJ for a while. So, like, the crowd really did believe in him. They were chanting AJ. He felt like a star. It felt like, you know, the pivot to AJ being a babyface is the thing where it's like, why wasn't this man a babyface the entire time?
Yeah, there's definitely that point to it. I get what AJ says when he's like, he felt like he was just getting into his groove as a heel. But he really shouldn't have been that ever at this point.
Yeah.
That should have been a big deal.
Like, the moment he turned heel should have been like, you know, after, like, Eddie Edwards in Current Impact. It's like, you've been a babyface for 8 years. Well, fine, we'll turn you heel, you know?
Sting
as well, yeah. That's just like, just to do something different with you after all this time of you being a top babyface, we might as well turn you heel for a while. Because AJ really should have been the babyface face of this brand from the very start, instead of a guy who played a weird tweener in the feud with Jerry Lynn, and then was very firmly a heel from like October onwards until October this year when he turned babyface again.
You could argue that he's been a dick more than he's been a good guy.
Yeah, he was a babyface for like 2 weeks, basically. Like 2 weeks he was a babyface.
Like a pure babyface.
And then he was doing like the weird asshole stuff with Jerry Lynn, and from the entire point onwards, he was unlikable. And it's like, how do you do that with AJ? He should be your marquee man. He should be your guy. It's like, as I said, it should be like Eddie Edwards or Sting or these guys who are babyfaces for years and years and years and years because they're natural babyfaces. And then only because you're like, oh well, we do eventually have to do something different with this guy and do something new and give him a new challenge. So maybe then we do turn him heel. But that should have been very, very, very long down the road. We do get the first instance, I think, of him calling Sting Stink in this promo.
Stank.
Because AJ, his mouth does not form the word sting very well, so he says the word stink quite a lot.
Stinker.
I do enjoy that. And then they did the usual. Raven comes out, Red Shirts come out, Just Styles comes out, Brawl, Abyss comes out, makes the save for them all, and beats up the Red Shirts, setting up the swerve later in the show somehow. But... And Jarrett said, called Sting Batman. He said, I'll see you later, Batman.
I'm unfamiliar.
He's the Batman. He's vengeance.
He doesn't really do that voice.
Sorry, it's more whispery now. He's the Batman. Yeah. He's vengeance.
Yeah, be more like broody and emo.
I'm like, just kind of a little sad as opposed to angry. I'm just mad, like sad at the war. I don't want to be Bruce Wayne. I want to be Batman.
Yeah.
Swear to me.
You're jumping between Batman.
Yeah, multiple Batman.
Batmen.
Then later in the show, Scott Hudson has mentioned he was trying to get an interview with Lex Luger, but he got an interview with Jeff Jarrett instead. To begin our show running line, month running angle, really, that AJ Styles does not belong in the heavyweight division.
Well, they already started this, I feel, like last month too, but they definitely fucking threw it up into overdrive here. I like that when AJ did his Mike Tenay interview, he pointed out the hypocrisy of that statement. He's like, A, I'm a Grand Slam champion. And then he's like, B, I beat Jeff Jarrett!
For the title.
Yeah.
It's so weird of them to decide to do this story now, as mentioned, because like you said, last month they did the thing where Jarrett said, get back to the X division, and now like he's saying that that AJ Styles isn't worthy of being in the heavyweight division. Lex Luger is saying that AJ Styles isn't worthy of being in the heavyweight division, and that's the show running angle, even though this guy has been champion for 4 months. He held the belt from June to October?
I guess that is meant to be the heat, but also you have to reflect that in the booking of the show. Because if you say it and then you perceive him to not be a heavyweight, you're actually just proving the point.
Yeah.
But to make it heat, you have the heel say that and the babyface prove him wrong.
So that when you do get to the main event of AJ Styles and Sting against Lex Luger and Jeff Jarrett, where the finish is that Sting hits Lex Luger with a bat multiple times, and then Styles catches a quick roll-up and pins him. That is not proving that AJ's on their level. In fact, it kind of tells you the opposite.
Yeah, it proves them right. It's like, oh, he isn't on their level because he couldn't beat them fair and square.
He won in a cheap slip-on-a-banana-peel way instead of just beating him. Earlier on the show, Abyss beat Don Harris. AJ and Abyss brawled after the match.
Sure.
But I hate this story. Even Sting coming out and saying like, oh, I like Sting. Because like Sting choosing to team with AJ should be a moment. These two have like a long relationship going through the rest of TNA history, basically, going all the way to their Bound for Glory main event in 2009. And this is kind of the start of it.
Please don't spoil 2009 for me.
Just that story, doing that story now, after this dude has been the best thing about this company for so long, after this dude has been world champion for 4 months, you're going to go turn around and finally say this dude's not on our level, he's not ready to be in the main events, in the heavyweight division, he's not on the Jeff Jarrett and Lex Luger level. It's just one of those dumbass TNA things. It's like, why are you doing this? Why are you telling us that your biggest star isn't worth being on the level of these old WCW stars? It just reinforces like the worst instincts. Like, no one in AEW says Hangman Page isn't as good as frickin' Bryan Danielson. In fact, they had him beat him.
What do you want? Like, that's exactly what it is. And it's a theme that will continue to come to pass throughout the rest of the history of the company.
Yes, where all of a sudden these stars from elsewhere are bigger stars than AJ Styles and Samoa Joe and Christopher Daniels and Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley.
We even saw it like in our brief run with the Hogan era, in which you can listen to on the Patreon.
There you go.
Where it was like Val Venus comes in and just wins, beats Christopher Daniels, who was like a title contender the month before.
Yeah, he chanced for the world title 2 months in a row, and then the following baby he lost to Val Venus.
The most fucking like mind-boggling thing that pained me the most: Orlando Jordan fucking big leaguing him, and being like, "Listen here, kid."
The real stars are here. Orlando Jordan.
Yeah. At least, like, I don't know. I don't want to. At least Sting, like, and Luger have achieved things.
They are big stars.
It's worse when it's like, if, I'm trying to think of a cool WCW mid-carder.
Buff Bagwell.
Yeah, if Buff came in was like, listen, kid. And not even if Buff came in now. If Buff came in like 2010.
Yeah.
It was like, listen, kid.
Buff is the stuff.
He's the stuff.
And you're not the stuff.
Me?
Yes.
Wow. I am not an American male.